Welcome back, Shelby Volo, joining us on the show from Abbott Wealth. Welcome back, Shelby.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so you've conducted a poll of sorts to find out the questions that people are uncomfortable in asking their financial advisor.
Yeah, because I was kind of personally curious what people wanted to ask me, but weren't really sure if they should ask that question. So I did a survey, so we'll put the first question up there.
How do you feel about these questions?
Exactly. So the first one there is, what's the difference between stocks, securities, mutual funds, and segregated funds? So it turns out that 73% of people were more comfortable with asking this question. So I was kind of surprised because not a lot of people ask me the difference,
Right.
or
maybe they just don't care.
Maybe that's true too. And sometimes they know what a couple are, but it seems like people are getting more comfortable with asking these types of questions given these polls.
Right.
So question 2. So this one's, how often should I be seeing you? So again, the numbers looked almost exactly the same as the previous slides. So I was glad to see that people were okay with asking that question.
Good.
Number 3. What investment product should I be in? So again, everything stayed very consistent. It was almost 73% were comfortable with that question. The next one there, when can I afford to retire? So that one surprised me because almost no people under 40 really ask that question.
Yes.
But apparently they're comfortable asking it. The next question there, this is where it drastically dropped. So you can see that don't mind asking dropped from 73% to 45%.
And that's with asking about, will my family be okay if I was to pass away early?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And 30% were slightly uncomfortable, which is a huge jump as well. And on question 6, am I saving enough? The numbers bounced right back up, except for slightly uncomfortable. There was still 12% almost there. Question 7, what does DSC, FE, and LL mean? And the numbers jumped again, and people were even more comfortable asking about that. And if anyone doesn't know, those are all different words for fees.
Okay.
Yeah. So these were the questions that I left it open, and they could ask whatever questions that they haven't had the chance to ask or they are uncomfortable to ask it. So one of them, I'm not sure if you're aware, but if you buy a life insurance policy, there's a 2-year clause. So if you commit suicide in the first 2 years, it won't pay you out, but it'll give you all your premiums back. So someone's question was, well, what if I've already satisfied the 2-year period, but then I want more insurance? Does that mean I have to wait all over again? So the answer is no. Your old insurance you had in force, let's say it was 200 grand, that would still pay out. But then if you got an additional 100,000, that wouldn't pay out.
Okay, so your old would pay out, but anything new
would not until the 2 years was satisfied. So that was one question.
I'm sorry anybody even had to ask that. That's
I know,
too bad.
yeah. And another one was, what happens when I pass away financially? So I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. If you own a home and there's no one joint on it, then it's going to go into your estate. If any RSPs, TFSAs, any other investments don't have named beneficiaries, it's going to form part of your estate. If you do name a beneficiary, it rolls over to them. So it's really important that people are naming beneficiaries, because sometimes I am coming across the estate and then you're going to pay probate fees, and it's just probably not what your intent was with money. Even on life insurance policies, people list estate sometimes, and it really defeats the purpose, in my opinion, because why get it taxed?
Yes.
Another one was, could I be making more with what I have now? The answer to that is it really depends what you're invested in.
Yep.
So it depends if you're in bonds, Canadian equities, if you're global. When you're younger, you should be in something more, growth targeted,
more comfortable
rather than
with risk.
you shouldn't be like in 100% bonds.
Yeah.
Another question, how does Canada rising interest rates affect me? It would affect you if you're in a variable mortgage rate, because interest rates rising means your payments rise. If you're in bonds, interest rates are obviously going to affect you, and you're not going to see a big return. The higher interest rates go, the worse bonds do.
Yes.
So that was another question there.
Okay. Can we get back to that question sheet one more time? We have about 1 minute, so we have a few more questions
Perfect.
to answer.
How much is my advisor charging me on my investments? That question came up almost 3 times. And that one, I would say it depends if someone's charging you DSC fees or if they're doing it front end. And there's something called an MER. So there's always a management expense ratio that you're paying the financial institution to manage that fund. So that's the person that's making all those trades behind closed doors and making sure that fund is working how it should be. So you can't get away from MERs. Those are never going to go away.
But almost nobody asks that, do they?
No, and a lot of people don't understand that that one is necessary. You can't do anything about it. Whereas DSC, front end, low load, those can all be negotiated.
Okay. But do many people come in and negotiate, Shelby? Let's
No,
be honest, right?
no,
People
they
don't ask,
don't. No, but like I said, a lot of people aren't asking these questions.
Yes.
So it was
So-
good to see that, we know what people aren't asking.
Yes. And would you recommend people not be uncomfortable and go ahead and ask those questions?
Absolutely. It's in your benefit. The more you know, the better decisions you can make, and then you know that your advisor's worth paying for.
That's right. And the advisor should be comfortable enough to say, hey, this is where the money comes from that I'm making. This is how I make my living. And
Yes, and I should be adding you values to the services I'm providing.
Yeah.
So if I'm not, then maybe I'm not worth that amount of money,
Right,
right? So
yeah.
it is good to ask those questions.
Awesome. That's an interesting survey, Shelby. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Any questions for Abbott Wealth? Information on the screen as well as the phone number 372-3736. We're back after a quick break. Stay with us.